On the 27th of September, the NWU released a press statement confirming that Prof Fika van Rensburg will be stepping down as the DVC of NWU. Join us now as a VAR with an in-depth interview with the new Deputy Vice Chancellor of the NWU.
Okay, Prof, I just first want to congratulate you on your appointment as the Deputy Vice Chancellor for the 2019 term. Let you start then with the interview.
Yeah, I'm going to start off just with a few questions so that we can get to know you as well, Prof. Tell us more about yourself.
Well, the first thing about me and my relationship to this university goes back to 1976, when I was about 16 years of age and I was interested in studying theology. And the first place I thought of was Potchefstroom University for Christian higher education. I thought, oh, this is a fantastic university, offering Christian education. That's what I wanted. But then I discovered, I wrote to the registrar, and the registrar sent me a book. I think it was a prospectus or a calendar or something, with all the information. But then later on I discovered, but the law prohibited me from coming here. And I didn't understand, too much about how the system worked then. But in terms of the laws of the land at that time, I was obliged to go to the University of Durban, Westphal, where I ended up. Yeah.
As the new Deputy Vice Chancellor, what will your main duties be for campus, and how involved are you planning on being in student life?
Most important thing is, as we are South Africans first and foremost, so we must braai, and we must do rugby. We must support the political with sport. South Africans are very passionate about sport and about the outdoor life, adventure. And we must be very focused on our work. But we must also realize that we are a country where the majority of the population don't have access to some of the basic necessities, the privileges, things that some of us take for granted are not there. So we have the situation of inequality, and we must work very hard to address it. But we can do it while we are still having fun. So I don't want, Potch is a very special place, a very special campus, and we want to keep, people in that mode of appreciating the tradition, but we want to, also open doors, for diversity. We want to enrich the cultural life, I think.
What role will theology play in your running of the university in your position?
Well, the university has a very strong, Christian ethos, even though it may not be stated overtly in our strategic documents. But, as a country, we come with a lot of Christian baggage, and if you read carefully, you will see we put a lot of emphasis on caring, on our ethic of care, on the Potch campus being a home away from home, and we want to prioritize the student experience. That has been what makes the Potch campus, and Northwest University for that matter, unique. So we want to keep this tradition, and we want to do our best to ensure that it remains that way. And we want parents to choose the Potchefstroom campus, or Northwest University for that matter, as make it their number one. But we want this place to be special. We want it to have its own identity, its character. We want to build on the legacy and tradition that we have. But obviously there's a lot of transformation that needs to be done, and we need to work within the parameters that have been set.
What qualities will you look to bring to the NWU with this influential position? And what I'm also getting at is that will the university also be looking to separate the NWU has been a Christian university, but I know they moved away and said, okay, we're now a multi-religious institution. To what extent will that aspect be promoted here? Will that just be left as on the side and go ahead with your academics, or will religion actively be promoted at this university?
Yes, well, the Constitution makes clear, we cannot use state institutions to promote one form of religious expression. So we need a sense of diversity. But even if you are a Christian, my view is that as a Christian, you have a duty to embrace diversity. We're not here in the business of excluding people or discriminating on the grounds of religion, race, gender, etc. So we must embrace diversity, and if it means us exposing ourselves, or broadening our knowledge about other faiths and what they are doing and what they are practicing and to what extent their religions gets mixed up with ideologies, etc. We need to learn about these things. So I'm not afraid to be in meetings or encounter people of other faiths. We want to learn about them from their own practitioners, etc. Now, the university puts emphasis on Christian theology because majority of the citizens of this country are Christians, and these Christians belong to churches, and these churches need ministers, and these ministers need skills, and they need knowledge of the scriptures. So we have experts, and we can train them, and we can offer them a service, etc. So if we put the emphasis on Christian theology, it's because we are responding to the needs of the country, to the needs, shall we say, of the job market. The churches are our clients. Now, the way the other religions operate, they don't require the universities to train their religious practitioners. So, we're not approaching the Hindus or the Muslims or the Jews and says, please come here because we want to train your ministers, because that's not the approach they ordinarily take, you see. But the churches want the help of the universities. So we will carry on with that. But it is not in conflict with the Constitution, because we are not doing anything to the exclusion of other faiths and other religions. We want to work with them, we want to learn from them, especially when it comes to communities of good practice. We want to have community projects across religious barriers. So there should be no discrimination. We are clear about that.
And with the elections coming up next year, it's a very sensitive time for South Africa politically.
Yes.
The political parties of all parts of the spectrum is going to campaign, and people are going to come to universities, which is a hotspot usually for these activities. How do you plan on dealing with this challenges posed by the students coming to university and making demands for their specific political parties?
Oh, I've never thought about this, but you are right. The elections is in 2019. Now that you mention it, maybe I must rethink this job now. It is going to be rough, I think. But we clearly must put the emphasis as a university on free political expression and engagement. We are not here to push students into one particular political ideology. Students must be free to think and to be critical. I think the most important thing when you come to university is help you to develop a critical mind. So we would like you to appreciate the political diversity we have in this country and intelligently understand the changing landscape. And then when you go and cast your vote, we obviously wouldn't want to tell you who to vote for, but we would at least want to prepare you to some extent to think critically about what is on offer, what the political parties think through the different policies of these parties. And we would like you to debate it, and the future of this country is dependent on the next generation of people like yourselves. You will shape the future, So we need to do our best to help you do it in a constructive way, not in a destructive way. So we will not tolerate, violence on the campus here in Potchefstroom. Certainly, we will not allow political intimidation, acts of political intimidation. We want free political expression. And I think what we all can learn, maybe in this country, is to grow a greater sense of tolerance, of difference. No matter what you do, there will be people who will swing to the right, who are there, they may go further to the right, and similarly to the left. And we must allow for that. But what we will not tolerate is discrimination on the grounds of political persuasion. We don't want to exclude people, and we don't want any form of corruption or favoritism. So we have to stand very, very hard on certain basic principles.
I think this ties in nicely to a question about the political election, because we know some political parties advocate for free tertiary education. So, do you have any thoughts on free
No,
tertiary education?
yes, I like it. I would love it tomorrow. But as a country, I know we cannot afford it.
You have the feasibility.
We should have. If we started working on this 20 years ago, it might have been possible today. But then when Mr. Mandela was president, we had a host of priorities, and there's only so much you can do, with that one cake. You have to cut it into so many different pieces. So the ideal is to have free higher education, but it's not practical. So the present government, I think, is looking into the matter, and universities have made a series of recommendations. But what I can tell you is that as a university, we are certainly not getting a fair share, or we're not getting, the sector, higher education, has been severely underfunded for over 10 years now. The funding has actually, in real terms, has been declining. So we have suffered, and we will continue to suffer, it seems. So the state has to decide on its priorities, and if they want, it depends on the future, on the kind of future they choose for this country. But clearly, they will have to reset their priorities and not cut our funding and our subsidies as they have been doing, because it will compromise on the quality of the education that we are offering. At the moment, we have reached a tipping point, because if we suffer more cuts, even at Northwest University, it is going to be catastrophic. They can't take away what they've given. They can't give us less than what they've been giving us in the form of subsidies, because we're going to need more. Because we have more students coming into the system, we're opening doors, we want to do more for the country. But simultaneously, they can't, cut our nose to spite our face, as it were.